down the hammer and pick up the pencil. You're about to listen to the Savvy Radio Show. Learn from real-life real estate investors, experience revealed with the Savvy Landlord as your host.
VanCauwenbergh, and I am honored to be in front of a wonderful man, friend, past student, Matt Blagg.
Hi, everybody. And I feel the same about being here with Stephen, too. And we're glad that you're here joining us on this journey. It's going to be great.
What you just, or what you're about to enjoy is a course for you to learn how to be a coach. And that's what it is. What I have been doing coaching for several years, almost going on 10 years, and I've been fortunate to coach multimillionaires to young men that are 8 years old to reach their goals, to reach their potential for being the very best that they can be. And what I have found in the last 10 years, almost 10 years of being a coach, is that anyone can be a coach if they have the desire.
That's right.
And so what we're going to cover in this several hour course is not about making money conveniently in an easy job where you can just sit back and post a few things and some cool quotes and people are going to pay you thousands of dollars for you to transform their life. It's not about that. I know you see a lot of life coach courses out there that talk about, hey, be rich in an industry of consulting or transform people's lives and read my book or buy my course. That's not what this is about. This course is a genuine, authentic, I guess that's the same word, of two men that have worked on growing together and reaching our goals. And I'm going to go into how this is all going to happen and where Matt Blagg came from. And so let's just discuss how you and I connected. But what happened is that I have been coaching Matt for almost a year.
Yep.
And
even before that, whether you know it or not, indirectly, because I would listen to your Savvy Radio Show. I would come to Landlord Lunch. I would look at your posts on Facebook, and I was learning from you even before I really got to know you personally. And that's what kind of drew me to you to say, okay, this guy is putting stuff out there. And I love the fact that it wasn't just, oh, I want to do this for money. It was you truly wanted to help people and educate people, which to me means you have the heart of a teacher, and that draws people. That's the kind of person you want to be. Mm-hmm. That's the kind of person you want to learn from.
Yep, and that's the deal. You it's a servanthood mentality.
That's right.
And I don't know if you are a Christian or not, but the deal is that you are a servant, and it's almost like you're like a little micro Jesus. Like his whole big thing was that he washed people's feet. When you sit down in front of someone, you have to deny everything that you want. You have to turn off your phone.
Yeah.
You have to ignore the world because you're missing opportunities by straight focusing on that person across from you or on the internet over video or over the phone. And so Matt, we've known each other for a very long time. I mean, you're in the music business. You've been a music artist. Let's just talk a little bit about you.
All right.
You're an entrepreneur, right?
Yes, I am.
You have several records out. You're a musician.
Yes.
And you've been in the ministry for a
long time.
A long time.
A long time.
So you've already are familiar with serving without getting paid.
Yes. Now, the serving without getting paid is not like what you set out to do. You set out to serve, and you're not doing it for the money. But what I've learned is when I serve people, when I try to get, and Zig Ziglar even said this, the best way to get what you want is help other people get what they want. And I firmly believe that's true. So whatever your occupation is, whatever your livelihood is, if you serve people, your life is just going to change. Mm-hmm. For the better.
And that's what I love about, I learned from Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Poor Dad. He's like, teach to be rich. And I've noticed that, I truly enjoy coaching because I feel like I get more benefit than the other individual. Yeah. The hardest part in coaching for me is making sure that I'm accountable and they're actually really doing it. Because when I sit down with them, and I may not want to sit down with them at that particular moment, there's things that are going awry in my own world, and then I got to shut everything down and focus and serve this guy or gal. But I've noticed that I have received more than I feel like I have given.
Right. I agree. And when you sit down with a person, you're really giving them your most valuable asset, which is your time.
Absolutely.
See, we can go make more money, but we can't make more time, and you're giving them your undivided attention. And that is hard in this day and age we live in, to give somebody your undivided attention, to turn off the phone, to turn off the computer, turn off everything you're reading, and turn off everything you're thinking about, because your mind may be going in some other direction, but you owe it to that person to give them your undivided attention. And that takes us back to, why do you want to coach in the first place? Why would I want to do this? And the other question I think we should talk about is, what makes you think you could be a coach? Because a lot of people don't understand this. They say, well, coach, what makes you, this high and mighty person, or this guru that thinks you can coach somebody?
That's awesome.
But it's like that movie Ratatouille. Everybody can cook, right? I love that thought that you can empower people where they didn't think they were before, to say, you know what, you can do this too. And that's the really cool part about coaching, is you teach other people to do that. And you've heard that saying that a teacher lives forever, because if you have students and they're teaching other people to do that, your influence can go on even after you're long gone. Yeah, it's a great thought.
Let's just clarify, coaching in circumference, life coaching.
Yes.
Consulting.
Yes.
Mentorship.
Yes.
Ministry.
Yes.
I mean, all those things. And the one thing that we want to just defunk and demystify, that the word life coaching has been, I guess, spit on in my mind. Like when people, I'm at an event, a networking event, and I go, hey girl, what do you do? I'm a life coach.
Yeah. And
she hasn't really taken the time to really be a life coach. And I love what you said, that you can be anything that you want to be.
Yeah.
But I think it boils down to your motive. And you can be any size. Even I always think about when I struggled first becoming a coach, I felt unworthy. I felt like, what could I contribute? I haven't really experienced enough. Of course, it's easier now with the success of the real estate. But what always kept me going was overweight coaches.
Yeah.
I know that's kind of bizarre, but, they're running a football. I even Googled it up before us getting on to do this course, that, the heaviest NFL football coaches, there's 10 of them or more, and they have successful teams, and they're not. So it's not hypocritical. You may not have skills or talents, but you can ride along someone and coach them to their optimum potential.
Absolutely.
And so that's the one thing I want to get out there, that in my mind, I think people that just are casually, it's an life of resistance. Hey, I can't really be successful in one industry, so I'll just be a life coach, and they just kind of desensitize. Yeah. And the other side is people like, I'm too good, I can't coach people because you're out of arrogance.
Right.
We just want to make sure that you understand that this is a process. This is going to be a long course, that you should go through every inch of it, and that you're going to have to grow yourself. Success is constant development of yourself, personal development. You've got to get into transforming your life so you can honestly transform someone else's life. And so
you can't take somebody somewhere you've never been.
And one thing, let's just call one insecurity out. There's been times where I'm actually coaching people and I'm having failures in my own life.
Yeah. And
there's some times where I'm like coaching myself to coach myself to success. Because that's what coaching is. It's riding alongside someone, helping them fulfill their dreams, their goals, and whatever they want to accomplish, you assist them.
Right.
And one last thing, and then I go to work. Yeah. And open your network to someone else. I love it when something like that, someone asks me a question and I don't have no idea. Yeah. But what I do is I sit there and Google it up, or I make some few phone calls. Like I had a client yesterday. We were working on taking over a property, and they had a lien on it, and we were worried about the insurance because what if it burnt down? Now we knew that the lien was $70,000 on a $30,000 property.
Ouch!
But we took the property by quitclaim deed. Now there's no mortgage on the property. We just have a lien, and the lien doesn't have to be satisfied. So we technically can get a quitclaim deed. I know we're coaching real estate real quick.
That works too.
Yeah, and we took the property over, and we insured the property for $30,000. And I got my client asked me a question: what happens if it burns down? Who gets that $30,000? And at first glance, I was like, I really don't know. So I called an insurance expert, and that individual explained to me that the insurer is usually the mortgagee. And since there's no mortgagee, it's the one that's insured with the person that put it in their name. So if there is a claim, you would receive it, not the lien holder. And that's what a coach does.
Yeah.
It gets the answers, or it gets that lodge that's holding them back, or gives them the code for the lock, or pushes them over the hurdle for them to reach their goals or dreams or satisfy what they're doing.
Yeah, that's good. So, yeah, Henry Ford said, I don't have to know how to do everything. I just have to know people that do. And as a coach, we're really we don't have to have all the answers. What we're supposed to do is guide our client to discover the answer for themselves, rather than give them advice. And it's hard sometimes because you may know the answer. You want to give them the answer, but really what is better than giving them the answer is leading them to their own discovery. Awesome. And I think that's what a coach is supposed to do. And I love the fact that you mentioned you don't want to become a coach because it's quote, quote, easy money, or it makes you feel important, or that you're not good at anything else. That's the worst thing that could happen. You're coaching people because you, at the very core, you have a desire to help people. And a really great definition of coaching, this sounds like a Hallmark card. I don't want to get all sappy here, but it's helping someone change from a caterpillar to a butterfly. You see where they're at now. They're a caterpillar, but they want to be this butterfly that flies. How can we help get them there?
Awesome.
And man, when you help somebody do that, whether you get paid or not, that is just very rewarding.
You know what was awesome last night about 6:30, I was just hanging out with my family, and I got a call from one of my clients. Now I'm very religious about my time. Religious is probably not the key word, but I'm very protective of my time. But I enjoy this client, and I took the call, and he was in the middle of a negotiations. He just got an offer on a property, and I just walked him through the process. And this guy already has 35 units. He's already worth several million, and he was just in an emotional state where, what should I do? I got an offer that's 10,000 less. I'm making 15,000. I want to sell the property. How should I handle it? So I walked him through a proper way to negotiate. And I said, listen, you need to counter back a little bit to 52. And because I always get nervous when someone accepts my offer, that's 15. He listed the property for 65 and brought it down to 50, his offer. And of course he only has 35,000 in the deal.
Yeah.
And, our first fleshful thing is, man, I got to make a cool 15 G's. But then that buyer may be like, this doesn't make sense.
It's too easy.
Yeah. Right. So I walked them through, like, what's their earnest money? When can they close? Do you have proof of funds? And so we went through this. And so we came up with a quick scenario. Well, this is a 5-minute phone call. And I said, okay, counter back with higher earnest money, 52,000. And they'll counter back with, 50,000 in the higher earnest. And I said, well, let's just try to get another 1,000, and so you can pay me. And I was just being sarcastic, and he's like, you're the best check that I write.
Nice.
Do you believe that? And he was genuine. He was really humbled. And I said, I always look for Mondays at 11 o'clock and Thursdays at 3. Mondays, I have him as my client. And on Thursdays, I have WizKids.
Right on.
And see, that's what coaching is. You're getting, it's almost like, I've been in the music industry for a long time. And when people pay me to DJ, it's like I would DJ, I'm getting paid to party, I get fed, and people think I'm a rock star. And then I leave the building with a check. Yeah. That's coaching.
It is. And they're not, when I travel for 20 years on the road, playing music all over the United States. And that's all I did. That was a blessing, to get to do what I do for a living. And I would tell people, okay, I sing for free, but you're paying me to travel. You're paying me to leave my family. You're paying me for all the hundreds of thousands of hours I put in to become good at this. And as a coach, when you're coaching somebody, if you get paid for it, they're paying you for your experience. They're paying you for all of those books you've read, all of those audio books you've listened to in the car when you could have been listening to, Taylor Swift or whatever. They're paying you for the effort you've spent in transforming your life, your way of thinking, your perception, and that's the ability. That's what you bring to the table, are those hundreds of thousands of hours.
And
books, dollars, yeah.
Seminars.
And time and effort that you've spent to be able to at least see where they're at, where they want to go, and how you can remove those obstacles.
Well said. And I also think that they're paying you for commitment.
Yes.
And accountability. And I have found that, recently losing weight is worth that.
Absolutely.
Just having someone in my face and saying, how much did you eat?
Yeah.
Or how many times did you go to the gym?
Oh yeah.
And
huge.
it does work. And you'll come across people that may think that coaching is not worth what you're charging.
Yeah.
And you've got to ask yourself, what is my time really worth?
That's it.
And you said it earlier in the beginning, and I want to reference that again. You can't replace time, but you can always make as much money as possible.
Yep.
And you mentioned that to me a couple months ago, and I was like, I never really thought about coaching. For me, coaching has been just an opportunity because I really get off helping people fulfill their dreams.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I have fulfilled all of my dreams. I have like maybe one left that's like, I want to go to Europe.
Yeah.
And, the real estate success, I've written a book. Mm-hmm. I have traveled to as far as I would enjoy to go. But there's no greater, except for one where my best friend came to know Christ. But the second thing is like, the guy that I spoke about just a moment ago, that I asked him, and this is the hard question that you should ask your clients one day. Has it been worth it, what you've been paying me
right
as a coach?
Yeah.
And he said, Stephen, this is a couple of months ago. And he said, Stephen, I've made over $90,000. And,
Yeah.
and you got to look at it like that, and to me, it's just been a joy to
Right.
coach him and just to analyze the circumstances he's going through, or hold his hand through a process of addiction, or
Yeah.
a relationship defunker, or an opportunity to scale your business by vetting out his applicants
Yep.
for his new assistant. I mean,
Yeah.
being a coach, life coach, or whatever you want to call yourself has many facets of what that description is.
Right.
I mean, whatever it takes is what I call coaching.
I agree. And some people say, well, you need to find a niche. Okay, that's cool if you can do that. But the thing is, everybody that comes to you is going to have a different situation in their life that they need help with. And it's your job as a coach to identify that, to say, when you talk to them, say, what are some challenges? What's going on in your life right now? Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Well, how's that keeping you from being where you want to be? And then how can we remove that obstacle?
That was phenomenal, because I remember I recently, a couple months ago, got a new client, and which is even hysterical, is what he hired me for. Because I ask you, why do you want to coach? Mm-hmm. What do you want to accomplish? Where is this going to go? And he's like, I want to coach other people. He's
Nice.
reached the economical goal that everybody, multi-millionaire, he has the freedom, he has unlimited time.
Yeah.
Well, he seems to have that. And he wants to coach other people. And I was like, well, perfect timing. I'm in the process of, crafting this course. And here's the kicker through the whole situation. I've never coached him on that. I've been coaching him for 6 months. Mm-hmm. And the first thing that came through the conversation was that he was having some issues with his daughter. His daughter turned 18, and they were disconnected.
Yeah.
And for at least a month, maybe 6 weeks, that we have just rebuilt that relationship.
Yeah.
And, we've never talked about real estate. We've never talked about me coaching, him coaching other coaches. Mm-hmm. But that's what coaching is. You get to the bottom of the core of what's holding that individual back. This individual did not know that it was holding him back. He felt guilty that his relationship with his daughter was disenchanted, that she was argumentative or disrespectful, and he was tired of fighting. Mm-hmm. And so we just walked him through, I just walked him through that process. And I'm not a counselor. It just turned into a counseling session.
That's right.
And it's not a negative thing. I think that you have to be willing to adjust and be agile in with the right motivation. Is like, where are they and how could I help them? If we can't get that right, how can we make more millions?
And you have to listen. And that's a skill that we have to develop, not only as coaches, but as people, as businessmen, as entrepreneurs. If you can listen, and listening is not just wait for the other people talking to jump in with what you want to say. That's so many times people, while the other person's talking, they're formulating what they want to say next, instead of really listening to what the person's saying. Listen to what's behind what they're saying. Watch their body language. What's it telling you? And you can kind of see what's behind what they're really saying. You can kind of read between the lines, and that helps you get to the core, and that helps you achieve results, because that's really what people are paying you for. They want results in their life.
Amen.
And the best
Well
way to
said.
get there is to listen.
Dude, you're a really good coach. And
I had a good coach.
And we want to be authentic here. You know, Matt and I just got together. I coached him for about almost a year, I guess. And then you wanted to take a break. And I was like, great. I don't really try to rely on this income, and I enjoy this income. And, a couple months later, and you came with a mission. You're like, hey, I want to coach people. I want a new chapter in my life. Mm-hmm. I have reached success in flipping properties. I've reached success and released 6 albums. And we need to talk about who you are and a little bit about myself. And so we can set the stage of what these folks are going to, endure. And, he proposed a question. Hey, I want to be a coach. And I was like, this is what this course has been birthed from. Yeah. This has been your journey as me coaching you for a short amount of time, transforming what you need to get from your accounting process to finally flipping that last deal to now you're, in my mind, you have 3 clients already and you've turned your business from 0 to a paid entity. Yeah. And I mean, it's just extremely humble. So we're going to walk you guys through that process. Yeah. And so let's dive into who Matt is and where you came from, and kind of give us a quick bio. I know that we've been writing a bio for your website.
Right on.
And so can you, I don't want to go to the website right now. Did you actually change your website?
I think he's got it changed. I sent it to him.
Okay.
I need to follow up on that.
All right. And so what is your website? Let's go into your website.
My website is mattblagg.com. 2 T's, 2 G's.
Okay, so mattblagg.com.
That's it. Yes, mattblagg.com. And when you go there, you're going to see kind of 3 different things. You're going to see, one, I'm a singer-songwriter at the core. That's who I am. I'm a musician. I'm a right-brained artist. I wear my feelings on my shirt sleeve, and I look at the world, kind of through a songwriter's view, meaning I'm kind of like looking at the world through a windshield and seeing what's there. And that's what a writer does, is they are able to put what's in their heart down on a page. So that's always the way I view the world. That's the way I view people. That's who I am at the core. I'm also an entrepreneur. I've was self-employed for 18 years before I went on staff at a church. So it was a big change for me. So learning how to transition from being 1099 employee, self-employed, sole proprietor to a W-2 wage earner at a church has been a big change.
You have to show up.
You have to show up, and you have to be under authority too. Instead of you being the authority, you have to be under someone else's authority, which is really in itself can be a rewarding thing, because you have to learn how to make this work, and that makes you grow. That challenges you. And then I came to the realization just this year, I am a coach.
Yes.
Because a lot of people have this limiting belief, like I have to be on TV, I have to be on radio, I have to write bestseller books, or produce a book, or be this multimillionaire. But when I look back, people would tell me, look, man, you made a living for 18 years, supported your family doing what you love to do. And you sold over 100,000 records, which isn't much by Beyonce's standards, but for an independent artist, that's pretty dang cool.
I think the average is like a top selling indie artist is like 6,000 units, or 25,000 units.
Well, I did it for a long time. So over a period of
but still,
15 years.
We need to put that out there.
So looking back on that, I would say, yes, I am a success, because through that all, I was able to be connected with my family, be connected with my wife. And no, we're not perfect. We've had our struggles. We have our ups and downs. We still do. But to come through that on the other side and look back and say, look what we've been able to do. And I give credit to God for all that, because he blessed us. But I worked hard and I learned. So when you go to my website, you're going to see those 3 things. Matt Blagg as a singer-songwriter, as a coach, as an entrepreneur. And when I look back at all the years that I was on the road, there's always been people in my life that I mentored that seemed to come to me. I was that person that people seem to come to to confide in. And there's something about me that makes people want to tell me that, here's what I'm going through. And whether I have all the answers or not, I would listen to them. Maybe it's because I've learned to be a good listener. But when you do that, people are going to be drawn to you when you listen, because everybody wants to talk about what's going on with them. So people would come to me, whether it's teaching them music lessons. There were people that I would take with me on the road, and they may not have anything to do with music. They just want to be around me and I teach them as I go. And I'm a very big OJT, on the job training person. You want to learn how to do something? Okay, hop in the truck with me. I'm going to show you how to do it. We can sit here all day and, read a book about it. But when you take someone out and show them, and then I've also taught music, even at my church, I've had several hundred students that I feel like more than just a music teacher, I've been a mentor, because I'm teaching them all about music, not just to how to play these notes off the page, but how do you interact with a crowd when you're on stage? What do you do when you're traveling? When you roll up to a place, what do you look for? The show begins when you pull into town, right? It doesn't begin when you walk on stage. How do I talk with the sound person? How do I know how to plug my guitar in a sound system? How do I write songs?
How to pick an engineer?
How to pick an engineer? How do I use Pro Tools? How do I use GarageBand to record these songs? Where do I get them? So the whole, and how do I, if I want to be a worship leader, how do I put a set together? How do I put a concert? So the same thing as a coach is if you have been helping people all along, you're a coach. Mm-hmm. You have to start thinking yourself in that mindset to say, okay, I'm going to hang my shingle out. You want to be a coach? All right, then start coaching. Start calling yourself a coach. You want to be a songwriter? Okay, start calling yourself a songwriter. That's because right. It goes back to self-talk. If I'm a coach, I need to say, okay, I look at myself in the mirror in the morning and say, I'm a good coach. I can do this. I can help people. I can bring value to people's lives, and I can serve people.
Oh, okay. I have to interject. First of all, you're amazing. I mean, I just get excited to hear you. One thing that popped in my head is like people have limiting belief, and they think because, my first question was like, okay, Matt, who do you think you should be coaching?
Yeah.
Right? Is it just songwriters or it's just ministers? No. And that's the one thing I think people need to be aware of. You may not have experience in real estate, or you may not have experience in writing books, but you can coach someone through those processes.
Yeah, it goes back to Henry Ford saying, I don't have to have the answers or know how to do everything. I just have to know people that do. So really one thing that you're bringing, like you mentioned earlier, you're bringing your network of people that you know in your life that you're able to connect people with.
Right.
If my guy's, his accounting and bookkeeping is a mess, then I can connect him with my
And you went through that process.
I sure did with
you hired me, and you paid me to walk you through that process of taking your confusion of accounting into your life is so much free.
My life has changed like immensely. I mean, and you went back to that. Let's talk about the value that you brought just from that one thing. You kicked my butt. You made me go interview 5 different accountants, and you said you need to know what to ask these accountants when you go talk to them. You can't just walk in there and say, here's my shoebox full of crap, and say, what are you going to do with it? You need to know, and I learned so much from that. So I have more confidence, and it really was convicting to me to say, okay, how could I expect to have a lot more money when I'm not taking good care of the little that I have?
Almost, that's scripture, homie.
It is scripture. It is the little you be given much. It is scripture, and I don't want to over spiritualize this, but it was a spiritual thing for me, and you helped me. Same thing with bankers, as a real estate investor.
Hold on, pause right there.
Yeah,
didn't you get extra money from getting your butt whooped?
You did. I did. Let's talk about that.
And then not only that. It paid, basically you had a free coach because the amount of money that you saved, because go into that story.
I will. Yeah. So I would just try to keep up with my own receipts and file them on my, my neat receipts scanner and all this. And I was always just drowning because I'm a W-2 wage earner at my church. I work full time at a church. I play gigs. I still play 50, 60 gigs a year. And I'm a 1099 wage earner there. And then when I started my LLC 4 or 5 years ago as a real estate investor, I've got all that to keep up with now. I'm doing rehabs and flips and rentals and rent rolls and all that. I was drowning. I mean, and I'm a right brain artist. I shouldn't be doing this crap in the first place. That's another thing that we help people do is, what are you good at? What do you do that makes it rain?
And say it's okay to not be an accountant.
Exactly.
And say it's okay. And I struggled with a client yesterday. They were trying to get their taxes done. They never heard of a W-9. They didn't know that they were supposed to give people 1099s by January 31st.
Yeah, exactly.
And they were hemming and hawing. Well, they were going to try to do this themselves.
Yeah.
I was like, you better go to Office Depot right now because the 4-part 1099 forms that you're about to hand write are not even going to be in stock.
Been there, done that, handwritten them. Now it's like I give my W-9 to my accountant and she sends them out for me. And I'm like, and I go down the road and I'm like, I could go write a song. I could go coach somebody. I could go find a real estate deal.
Yes.
So this deal with my accountant, Stephen was coaching me, and I've always had coaches. Let me just back up a bit. We who are coaches shouldn't be hypocritical.
You should have a coach.
If it's this important to you, who's coaching you? And I've always had mentors, coaches in my life. Stephen's one of them, great one in my life. Other real estate coaches, business coaches, life coaches, music coaches, mentors. I still have coaches. You're coaching me right now, and I'm still meeting with you. So I'm meeting with Stephen, say a year ago, talking about this, struggling with accounting. And he, he kind of kicked my butt on it and said, well, what are you doing about it? He said, go and you need to learn about this and go interview these accountants. So I literally talked to like 5 accountants, and I learned by number 3, I'm learning kind of a pattern of things to ask them. How do you view, deductions versus,
Well, my favorite was the final, like, would you fight for me if I had an audit?
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
And then the other accountant that you chose, she saved you how much money? You got a check back.
I did. The accountant that I actually settled on, who was amazing, by the way, and she's actually doing my bookkeeping. She looked at my taxes from the previous year and discovered a mistake. And the mistake was me. I took my wife's W-2 income from her teaching job and somehow lumped it in with my 1099 music income, which meant that my wife had to pay her self-employment tax twice. Yes. Because when you do 1099 income, you have to repay your self-employment tax, FICA tax out of that. She discovered that it had been taxed twice. We got a large check back. I don't want to say how much, but it was big. I could have bought a freaking car from this check.
And not a new car. Coaching.
It paid for my coaching with money left over. So
that's the great thing about being a coach. I always, like you said earlier, you want to get people results. I don't want people to pay me and they're suffering.
Yeah.
And they're limping along because they have a financial burden. Mm-hmm. And I think, the type of coaching that I hope that people get out of this is like, I try to replace my income from that. I try to help them replace what they're paying me with some sort of an income, a side hustle.
Like the value that you add to them from coaching is going to replace what they pay you for coaching.
Yes.
And this was a big deal because, Stephen, you kind of got in my face, and said, why are you trying to take care of all these little things that aren't the most important things? You need to be doing the most important things that you're about. Let's define what those are, and let's learn how to let someone else do these other little things that they're good at. Because I tell you, my accountant's taking care of my bookkeeping now and my checkbooks.
You have to think about it.
And it has freed my life. I'm like a different person.
Awesome.
So,
dude, I love the authenticity, and we'll get into deeper of that, things that you've overcome. And I think that we have to teach through our struggles, and you've learned so much. And just you bringing all that up reminded me of the client that I was dealing with yesterday. Like, dude, you got 2 weeks to get your 1099s out.
Yeah.
Why are you even looking on Amazon for phone
cases or something?
Yeah. Just pass it on to the professional. Mm-hmm. All right, we're going to wrap this introduction. I thought it was phenomenal, the synergy that you and I have.
Yeah, man.
And a lot of people may not know me, and so I'm just going to finish out, and then you'll have the last word. And I'm just going to tell you just a quick brief about me and why I think that that I could help people and to be a coach, to coach other people. Well, again, my name is Stephen VanCauwenbergh. I was born in Dover, New Jersey. I moved to California right before high school. Went through high school in California in an area called Richmond, California. My dad left my family when I was around 2 years old. I have an older brother who's 6 years older than me, and he went to a foster home. And I had a rough upbringing, and it wasn't easy, but it was a process. When I was in California, I randomly was in school. Someone asked me about to go to church, and I was like, F that. I did go to church, and my life was transformed from there.
Nice.
Came to New Christ July 29th, 1991, and my life changed. And then before all that, I was a street hustler, always learning to make money, an entrepreneur at birth. And I wanted things. We were poor. We didn't have Christmases. We didn't have holidays. We didn't have anything. And I didn't like that. And I wanted a Nintendo or a Game Boy. And I figured out how to make money. And so that has been a route that has birthed me into entrepreneur. I've been an entrepreneur since I can remember. I've been working since I was 11 years old, bussing tables as my mom was working her third job on the weekends as a waitress. And then I moved from that endeavor, and then I was telemarketing sales when I was about 15 years old. I lied on my application, and I learned phone skills at that age. And then life just moved on from there. I moved to Oklahoma in 1992 as my youth minister suggested that I would attend a college called Oklahoma Baptist University, which was a life change, and I learned a lot, and my life grew. And then about 1996, I left school, dropped out, and read a book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. That book transformed my life. It said, buy assets. I said, okay. So simple, right? And I sold my microwave, TV, anything, garnered 2 G's, and started buying houses since 1999. And I've been in real estate ever since. And through that success of just the grind of every day, we've built a wonderful portfolio, and I'm honored to have written several books based on that. I wrote a book called The Savvy Landlord, how to find financial freedom, even if you're from the hood or ghetto or uneducated. And there was a time in my life that I was 6 years behind in reading, and I could barely, and a lot of people don't know this, I actually confessed this to a client yesterday, that I was so far behind in high school that I would hustle. I knew all the TAs, the teacher's assistants, and they would mark me present when I was out playing basketball all the time. It sounded cool, but I've been listening to this David Coggins, You Can't Hurt Me, and it really did hurt me. It held me back mentally and emotionally because I had a low self-esteem. And yeah, thank God for Google that they could spell things. I do struggle with writing, and for that to say, the process has been great. I was able to employ people to help me craft books, and I employed you to help me to do this course, and I wouldn't have done it without you, and I'm just honored to be that. And so from that process, a lot of people were asking me about, how'd you do that? How'd you buy these houses? How'd you become a millionaire? How'd you write a book? How'd you get on tour with bands that have sold over 1 million records? How does that happen? Well, process and systems. And then people wanted me to coach me, and people were offering me money for me to help them. And that's how I got here today. And, I really am honored to even be called people's coaches. And it's just, I would do it for free. And the income that I do receive from this, I don't look at it as a job, because it's almost hypocritical, because when you trade time for money, it better be valuable. And so when I first started coaching about 10 years ago, I recognized that I only wanted to coach people that would further the kingdom. I know that's bizarre. I only wanted to coach people to become millionaires because they would give back to the greater good, not necessarily the church, that they would be good tithers, or they would be help the community, or even so psycho to the point where I was like, man, I'm going to help this person, but hopefully they recycle. Because I didn't want my time to be wasted. It wasn't that they were paying me, $1,000 a month to be their coach, and I'm honored. And I always strived on results. I want people to not just write me a check. And I know there's coaches out there that charge $10,000, and you buy their course, and it never transpires. Nothing ever happens. It takes work. Mm-hmm. And that's why this course is here together. My goal is every time that I sit down with a potential client and I ask them, what do you need and what do you want? I'm always thinking that they should be a coach, that they have the ability, and hopefully what they learn through our sessions, not just our audio sessions today, but the sessions just through coaching, that they would become a coach. And so that's my story in a nutshell. You'll hear more of that as we move forward in this course, and I thought this was a wonderful intro. And Matt, you sum it up, and what final thoughts do you have?
Well, I want to tell people real quick, I grew up on a farm out in western Oklahoma. I've got great parents. I learned a good work ethic, and I wouldn't trade that for anything in the world. And to go from there to traveling the world playing music, I have younger sisters, 2 years younger than me, lives in Chicago, and I have 2 little nephews there. My wife and I have been married for 28 and a half years, and I have 3 children. My son is 22. He's an entrepreneur. And if you want to see what he's about, go to Hoob Creative, HUUB creative.com. He has an online marketing agency, social media consulting, and lots of other things going on. My daughter is like me. She's a musician. And then my youngest, we don't know what she's going to be. Maybe it's a filmmaker or something, but it's going to be pretty awesome. She's 15. And
And you have a lot to offer people.
I have a lot to offer because I've been through a lot. And my journey into this started in 2000, year 2000, when my father-in-law gave me the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Because up until then, I couldn't tell you what a mutual fund or an IRA was. I didn't know jack about accounting. I knew money was a necessary evil, and I just had to grit my teeth and get through it at tax time. And that book really changed the way I started thinking about money and assets, because I'm like you, I grew up working. I always, had side hustles going on, and I would, mow lawn, had a little lawn mowing business and whatnot. But this really changed my way. And I remember in 2006, I went to a seminar here in Oklahoma City called the Get Motivated Seminar.
I was there.
You were there. That's right. We talked about that. And Zig Ziglar spoke. It was not long before he passed away. So to get to hear him speak in person was great. And lots of other people. And that really changed the way I thought. And from there, they sold this little 3-day real estate boot camp. And I went to that. From there, I got connected to people at our local real estate club, RIA, OKC RIA and MP RIA. And in 2007, I flipped my first house. It was literally like 5 houses down the road from where I lived. And as a lot of you listening will recall, 2008 and 2009 is when the market just tanked. And that was when I was getting into real estate and learning about this. It was a hard time. But now, 10 years down the road, I look back and I learned about market cycles. And along the way, I've had mentors. I've had coaches. I've gone to numerous conferences, seminars, read hundreds of books. And it's changed the way that I think. And that's what we really have to help people do, is change the way that they think.
A defining moment?
A defining moment.
Shift?
Exactly. You have that, and then you're able to pass that along. You tell them, here's what you got to be looking for. So it's a new endeavor for me to officially say, okay, yes, I'm a coach. And it might include real estate. It might include accounting. It might include help with their family.
Or music.
And music, absolutely. I'm tailor-made.
That's your passion.
I'm tailor-made for that. If you're a singer-songwriter and you want to coach, call me. I can help you. So the thing that we have to do is to help people realize, here's who I want to be, here's who I am, and how do we get there? And we can remove that obstacle, and really it's self-discovery. That's the greatest thing. It's not, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to give you this list of things, this laundry list of things you got to do.
You're going to be a millionaire.
And you're going to be a millionaire. But if they discover, if they can pull this thing out from them that's always been there, or maybe they didn't even know was there, this passion or this belief in themselves that I can go do this, then we've succeeded as a coach.
That's right.
It's not to say, all right, I'm going to force you into my mold and tell you how you ought to go do everything. It's not. It's taking the blinders off their eyes and letting them see, okay, here's what's holding me back. Here's who I really could be, and here's who I am. And it's leading them in that self-discovery. So for me, that's the rewarding thing, and that's why I would want to be a coach, and I would tell other people, you could be a coach too, because just the fact that you said that to me, Stephen. You said, hey, you could be coaching other people. I had this limiting belief. It's like, no, I haven't had.
You're not worthy.
I haven't had yeah, exactly.
Or no experience.
Or what? I don't know.
How do you get experience being a coach? By coaching.
By coaching. But I would say, well, I don't know crap about, I haven't owned many businesses or whatnot. Why should I be telling people? But if I can help them, if I could lead them in discovering what they should do, then I've succeeded and I've brought value to their life, and I've been successful as a coach. And you can do that too.
Investor Weekend is not far off, with over 10 information sessions to increase your portfolio. Log on to www.investorweekend.com. Whether you are a seasoned investor or never purchased a property before, you don't want to miss the Investor Weekend. Join us for a powerful, knowledge-packed weekend with over 10 informational sessions that are bound to enlarge your real estate investments. You will hear from the best national and local real estate investors that will share practical and relevant experiences with you, the investor. There will be several networking sessions to connect with other like-minded people for potential funding, partnerships, and yes, hot deals. Go to www.investorweekend.com. Did you know we meet once a month for the Landlord Lunch meeting? The third Wednesday of every month. Go to landlordlunch.com.
Thanks for listening to the Savvy Radio Show. Glide online and listen to our other motivating episodes at savvyradioshow.com. Connect on Twitter at LandlordBook, and always be buying assets.